Hello and welcome. You are watching In Your Interest here on News 9 Live. I'm Krishnakumar and joining me in the studio is my friend and colleague Kartik Malhotra. And the big story that we are bringing to you is 18 months after the damning report on the Adani Group by Hindenburg, the short seller. Hindenburg has now released a report making huge accusations against the chairperson of India's market regulator, SEBI. Now, 18 months after US Hindenburg Research released its damning report, calling it the largest con in corporate history, the short seller is back on the Indian shores with a brand new target. This time around, it's SEBI's chairperson, Madhabi Puri Buch. Hindenburg has alleged that she and her husband, Dhaval, held stakes in the same Bermuda and Mauritius funds used by Vinod Adani. They cited whistleblower documents and said that while Buch held the position of a whole-time member of SEBI, she emailed through her private account to redeem the units in the fund. Other allegations include potential conflict of interest with Blackstone. During Buch's tenure at SEBI, her husband was appointed as a senior advisor to Blackstone, a major investor in real estate investment trusts or REITs. Here are some of the crucial excerpts from that report. 18 months since our Adani report, SEBI has shown a surprising lack of interest in Adani's alleged undisclosed web of Mauritius and offshore shell entities. Whistleblower documents show that Madhabi, the current chairperson of SEBI, and her husband had stakes in both obscure offshore funds used in the Adani money siphoning scandal. If SEBI really wanted to find the offshore fund holders, perhaps the SEBI chairperson could have started by looking in the mirror. Now, these are some of the comments that are coming in. Buch, in response, has denied all the allegations leveled by Hindenburg, calling it an attempt at character assassination. She said, and I quote, "We would like to state that we strongly deny the baseless allegations and insinuations made in the report. The same are devoid of any truth. Our life and finances are an open book. All disclosures as required have already been furnished to SEBI. Over the years, we have no hesitation in disclosing any and all financial documents, including those that relate to the period when we were strictly private citizens, to any and every authority that may seek them," unquote. So that's the big story. In Your Interest, we're bringing to you, to all those investors out there watching us, and for all those out of curiosity or wondering why Hindenburg is trending in your social media feeds all over again, that is exactly the reason why. Kartik, this is quite some timing, 18 months, especially at a time when the Adani stocks are, done way past the lows that they hit when the first Hindenburg report came out. Also at a time when, you have had Supreme Court judgments, debunking allegations made in the Hindenburg report first time around.
You're right, Krishna. I think, you've got to take a step back and really understand what is Hindenburg and what does Hindenburg really do for a living. Hindenburg Research is not a non-profit entity. It is not an investor advisory group. It is not really a company which works in the interest of the larger public or larger group of investors who invest in, in stocks of any kind. It is, by definition, a short seller itself.
Yeah.
By virtue of being a short seller, the job of Hindenburg Research really is to ensure that there is volatility in certain stocks. You pick up those stocks, you go short on them, you ensure that you make money, and all the investors that you are advising prior to the release of any research report stand to benefit from the research that you do. So I think let's not keep any, qualms about the fact that Hindenburg's one and only motive is to make money by shorting on companies. It tried to do that, and in fact, it did make money. About $30 billion is what Hindenburg Research really made. $30 million is what Hindenburg Research really made by shorting Adani stocks soon after releasing that fairly damning report, the largest con in corporate world, on the 25th of January 2023. And we saw the Adani Group actually lose valuation to close to about $100 billion in market cap. And one entity that definitely benefited from that volatility, from the stocks going down, happened to be Hindenburg Research. Now, that aside, I think, the timing of this particular research report coming 18 months later is honestly something that could have come last year itself. Madhabi Puri Buch was the chairperson of SEBI last year. During, all the disclosures that Hindenburg allegedly, uncovered pertaining to the fact that there was Vinod Adani's, allegiance, and Vinod Adani really being the one man running the show from Mauritius and Bermuda and Singapore, all of this, which fund was used and who were the investors in that fund, is something that could have come out last year itself.
Right.
It did not. However, what is coming out now again seems to be at some level malicious, definitely. But that is judgment at the end of the day. And I think we've seen the statement coming from Madhabi Puri Buch, and we've also seen the statement coming from the Adani Group, which are pretty much rubbishing what Hindenburg Research is saying this time around. But broadly, I think and just to get the timeline right, Madhabi Puri Buch had nothing to do with SEBI in 2015. In her private capacity, if she was an investor in a particular fund which happened to reside outside of the shores of India along with her husband in the year 2015, and before she became a whole-time director at SEBI in 2017, she pretty much did, from a corporate governance standpoint, it seems the right thing by getting out of that fund herself and transferring all her ownership to her husband.
Right.
So right now, from the various statements which are coming in to specifically raise an alarm on the motive of SEBI chairperson, maybe a little prejudiced. At the same time, it may be a little immature right now to also believe that whatever Hindenburg says happens to be the gospel of truth. And that is exactly what the Supreme Court of India also said against Hindenburg Research.
Right. We have Rohit Srivastava of IndiaCharts.com now joining us live. Rohit, thank you so much for taking time out to speak to us here on In Your Interest. The simple, straightforward question is that I want to begin by understanding your view on the latest Hindenburg report.
See, there's one thing to be concerned about, that is definitely the time that has gone into us getting any outcome on the entire Adani fiasco. What really happened, the investigation, is it complete? Where is it? How much time is it going to take? So I'm sure that is a concern that we can all have, because it's been quite a while and there's been no fresh report on where things stand. Having said that, these recent allegations do not look like they have much, because like you were talking a while back, that she's already made her exit from that investment. It's an investment vehicle, which means we don't know, they may be making multiple investments, so making direct linkages to the Adani Group itself may or may not be correct. So there's of course need for detail on all of that. But if we just make some presumptions that, as she took on that bigger role, she moved out of the positions which could have been considered in future as hindering her work. So she was not in that position today at the time of the investigation. So very much it looks like looking in a rear view mirror and trying to point fingers. And therefore she may very well take up a case of defamation against Hindenburg on this entire issue. So it doesn't look like these allegations can stick, given that they are about the past and they are not really current. Okay. But like I said, the other part which they are talking about, why is the investigation not really moving, is something for all of us to hope that speeds up.
Okay. The simple question at this stage is that, do you think the markets will react when trading opens tomorrow morning?
I would probably think not, given that these allegations look baseless at this point of time. They just look like an attempt to throw dirt, and therefore it should not really have a direct impact on markets as of now.
Rohit, I have one more question for you before Krishna continues with this conversation, and I want to understand from you, legally, is it untenable or is it frowned upon, even if it may not be illegal, for somebody of Indian origin actually being an investor in an obscure offshore fund, even if it happens to be in Mauritius or Bermuda?
You're asking me that?
Yeah, Rohit.
Oh, well, so we do have something like an LRS scheme, right? So if under that, under the limited remittance scheme, if you're making an investment, it may not necessarily be illegal as long as you're buying equity or real estate. I think those are the permissible investments for any Indian investor anywhere around the world. So if that's what the fund was doing and that was disclosed, then it may not be an issue.
Okay. The other big question here is that you have had the Supreme Court of India debunk the last time around Hindenburg made any claims on Indian shores. Do you think this time around too, because of something like that, because of how far we've come from the first Hindenburg report on Adani, would you, then be led to believe that the impact of this one will be much less, but at the same time, there will be questions raised on what exactly is happening with the investigations in the previous time around?
Yeah, definitely, because like I've said already, that it's taken a long time, so people want it speeded up, and I think Hindenburg has used that as the base at the end, like why are things not moving, and they're trying to create a case that it may be because the SEBI chairperson had some historical involvements, but those are so far behind, and they are not really conflicts of interest today. But yes, we do want, I mean, everybody would like this to be out of the way. For example, today, if I'm an investor, I'm actually thinking about buying Adani stock, I would take 4 steps backwards because of this entire investigation which is going on. I really don't know how it's going to end. And that spoils the investment environment for the Adani Group. And they are part of index stocks, right? So to that extent, because they are e-index stocks, both the Sensex and Nifty have some component, some weightage of Adani stocks, like Adani Ports is part of the Sensex, and it has a bearing on the market to that extent. So yes, as investors, I am saying, I mean, I'm not really invested in any of the companies as far as disclosure is concerned.
Okay.
And I would feel worried about making those investments because you
So
don't have
would you
case,
then
right?
expect
You
some
don't know how
volatility
the
in
case is going to unfold.
would you then expect some
Yeah.
volatility in the Adani stocks, at least on Monday morning trading?
Not really, because again, this is nothing about the Adani Group over here. It's really trying to say that and trying. The real word is trying. You're really trying to say that SEBI is holding back investigation, and we really don't know.
Okay.
So it's throwing, like I said, it's throwing darts in the dark, on something that we don't know. So market reacting to an unknown, I think it will be a non-reaction. It will be a nothing burger.
Okay, last time around, Rohit, Adani Group had actually said that this is a calculated attack on India. Now, it was an attack on a particular company, but there was this sort of nationalistic twist given to it by the Adani Group. This time around, Hindenburg Research is actually going straight after the regulator and the chairperson of the regulator. Do you see this as some sort of a vendetta? Do you see this as, as some sort of a retort by Hindenburg Research, just because the Supreme Court did not really rule directly in favor of Hindenburg Research, and the SEBI investigation also pretty much led to nothing constructive to support what Hindenburg had released in its research report on the Adani Group? So do you think this time around it is just some sort of a vendetta that Hindenburg Research is going after?
It's very hard to say, right? We don't have most of the facts. At the most, you can say that they're trying to save face from something, because if they were making allegations, at least they could have been more constructive. They should have been allegations about what the positioning of somebody is today. I mean, for example, if the chairperson was actually holding certain investments at the time of investigation, that would be a direct conflict of interest, which is not the case. So you've made a very frivolous case and trying to hit back. Why would you do something like that?
But does it prima
Has
facie to you,
standing?
Rohit, does it look like a frivolous case? Because what is being cited are whistleblower documents, and like you mentioned, there doesn't seem to be any direct relationship between any of the money in that fund, in that obscure offshore fund, which apparently, allegedly, got invested into Adani stocks, had the money of Madhabi Puri Buch or her husband.
Not at the time of investigation, right? That is what it states. Like, it was withdrawn in 2018, the units were closed out. So if at the time of investigation, and the time that this whole issue cropped up, if there was no vested interest, then there's no conflict of interest. Then so what are we really talking about? Then we are only trying to defame somebody. That is what it would look like at this point of time.
Okay. Rohit, stay with us. We also have Kranti Bateni now joining us on this broadcast. Kranti, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us. I want to begin by asking you, we were just talking to Rohit, and he believes that there will be absolutely no market reaction to this Hindenburg report come Monday morning. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I reiterate the view with Rohit. The impact on the market going to be negligible, because the regulator have a sound process, and whatever be the allegations that made by Hindenburg is not going to have create any kind of impact on the market. Okay, it may create some kind of knee-jerk reaction. Okay, but by and large, it's not going to have any kind of impact on the stock prices and the stock performance concern tomorrow morning.
There are two questions over here. One is that Hindenburg is a short seller. This is what it does for a living after a point. So, in that sense, because of that, do you think, this will lack in that much credibility? And also, in terms of the impact that the first report had, it was a knee-jerk reaction immediately, and then things went back to normal. Things are doing better. Adani stocks are doing better than they were before the Hindenburg report came out.
Yeah, absolutely, Krishna. Okay, they have been coming up with different kind of reports. Okay, and the facts they could not able to prove anywhere, and the recent one is the same case. Okay, I don't think so. It's going to have any kind of a major impact on the market. It might create some kind of sentimental impact. Okay, thanks. The report came on a weekend. Okay, so people have time to think, but it's making you and me busy. But we have enough time. What kind of impact it's going to have on the market? It's not going to have. Krishna, I would like to tell you one thing. Okay, stock prices are slaves to earnings. If these kind of reports are going to create any kind of impact on the earnings, definitely it's going to have impact. Okay, but the recent one, what they come up on the SEBI chairperson, okay, it's not going to have any impact. The regulator have a strong processes and they have a strong surveillance systems. So they will look into the facts and figures. But in terms of the stock performances are concerned, it's not going to have any major impact. While coming to Adani Group is concerned, we have witnessed a long story from past 1 year. And the Adani Enterprises share, okay, back at where it was when the Hindenburg report was shared. So any person, uh, 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 it created some kind of knee-jerk reaction, but it helped the market to habituate to these kind of knee-jerk reactions. And also, on the other hand, for the group is concerned, they have been going strong with in terms of their internal compliances are concerned, and also better transparency mechanism is concerned. And wherever the short gaps, the lacunas are there in the system, they could able to bridge those gaps. So I don't think so in terms of the stock performances are concerned. Market most probably by and large it's going to ignore.
Rohit, I want to bring you back in here. So, I agree with what Kranti is saying, and it doesn't seem like it is an attack on Adani Group this time around. So, there should be nothing really in it for investors to go ahead and change their positions on the Adani stock. But specifically for the SEBI chairperson, what happens from here? Because this is now technically a personal attack, and it is not really an attack either on the institution of the market regulator or on any listed entity in India. So, is there legal recourse as the way forward from here, or is there more to it that SEBI will have to, spring out as part of its own documentation and its own KYC about the chairperson? Rohit.
Rohit, if you can hear us.
Okay, let me take this to Kranti then. Kranti, where does this go? So, is this now going to really be a case of Madhabi Puri Buch versus Hindenburg Research in the courts, and which courts for that matter? Is it going to be US jurisdiction? Is it going to be Indian jurisdiction if the matter does reach, any court of law? Or is there more to it on, on the institution of the market regulator itself?
One thing is, it is directly, they try to create some kind of rumors, or they try to sling some mud on the chairperson of the regulator. So SEBI already have a strong internal regulatory system, internal controls, and also strong surveillance systems. So they do have the mechanism to handle these kind of things, but it is a multiple regulators are involved, the jurisdictions are involved, and uh, and it's a complex in nature in terms of the regulatory framework is concerned. So by and large, it can be verified by the internal regulator and the internal surveillance teams, and also the Ministry of Finance also look into the things.
Okay.
But by and large, what I would like to convey to the investors is nothing to worry. Okay, markets as usual. Okay, these kind of rumors do come in the market. So don't worry about the knee-jerk reactions in the medium to short term.
Okay. Rohit, so who regulates the regulator is my question to you. Are we expecting anything from the Ministry of Finance or Ministry of Corporate Affairs now in terms of some investigation, or is it just a personal battle now between Madhabi Puri Buch and Hindenburg Research?
Well, since the name has been personal, I think the first step is really about the institution first standing up, which means whenever there's a personal attack, there's always going to be people who will say, see, this is what is going on, and there are going to be people who need to support it. But at an institutional level, SEBI needs to come out and, clear the air over here. So there has to be some statement from SEBI as an institution as to where they stand on the whole thing. So surely that's the first thing which happens. I don't think the ministry needs to get involved at this level and at this point of time. And a statement from SEBI as to where it stands on the entire issue would sort of clear the air at a pretty significant level. I think with a case like this, the bigger issue has been, and this is something I said even when it all started, more than a year ago, is that it involves so many global entities, and that means SEBI needs to coordinate with, various people around the world to really be able to get details. And that's not always easy when it's an interconnected world. There are, various laws that keep you from getting information from different countries. Definitely, it's not easy. But the faster we can get this sorted out, the better for us. So to that extent, would it help for the ministry to, send out a message globally to get help and sort this out from different countries? That's something, again, that has to be coordinated by SEBI itself with the ministry. So I don't think they need to come out and say something at this point of time. The first step is going to be for the institution itself to, come out with its own communication on this matter.
Okay, Rohit, I just have one more question for you. The job of a short seller is to actually do research on companies and try and uncover facts which tend to benefit them and benefit their investors or their partners. In this case, uncovering anything on, on a regulator or on an individual which has nothing to do with a particular listed entity. If you just take a 35,000 top view of this entire scenario and how it's playing out, why would Hindenburg, in its right mind, really want to go after an individual which has nothing really to do with any particular listed entity? What has Hindenburg really got to gain or lose by releasing, these scathing reports?
So I think it's a face-saving game. So, for example, just think that if the entire investigation, the way it stands today, which means that at an India level, we've already said that there's nothing they have found, but the investigation is still not closed, right? So because it's not closed, it's not a final verdict. But imagine that there is a verdict and it says that, Hindenburg was actually wrong on the whole issue. There's nothing wrong with Adani. Sure, they got a short call, they made money, whatever. But if their research is proven wrong, it actually points fingers towards their quality of research. So this is why they are looking for new reasons to, get something that proves that, yeah, there was something wrong in the entire story. So they're searching for new answers, but these answers don't really look appropriate because, as we can see, that there's no conflict of interest. So I think it's only about a face-saving game for Hindenburg. That's what it would look like right now to me.
Okay. Quickly, Kranti, would you agree with that? It's a face-saving game for Hindenburg?
Definitely. I completely agree with the guest, Rohit. Definitely, they're just making noise, but there are no concrete facts and figures at this point of time. It is just they're trying to create some kind of havoc in the market, nothing else. Okay. This time, the twist of Hindenburg report is they come on to the regulator and the chairperson of the regulator. But I don't think so. It is just a noise they are making in the market. It's not going to have any materialistic impact on the markets are concerned. But we need to see how the things are going to involve. As I mentioned, okay, SEBI have Indian capital market regulator is one of the sound and strong regulator. They have strong internal control system. They have the way forward how to handle these kind of situations. And I'm sure investors are much matured to respond to these kind of market rumors, sensitive information, and sensitive market rumors and these kind of whenever these kind of reports do surface, markets are very acting very maturely. Just to refresh our memories, okay, just a month back, there was a lot of hue and cry in the market and in the media with respect to quantum mutual fund front-running case is concerned. But the way market responded is very matured, and and that that still the regulator is doing their course, but it could not able to create any kind of material impact on the markets are concerned. Right now, markets are well matured, and we have a strong sentiment and strong liquidity. So, if at all, any kind of knee-jerk reaction do come, any kind of negative sentiment on the market, it's a wonderful opportunity for the investors to utilize these kind of knee-jerk reactions for the betterment of the medium to long-term investing is concerned.
Okay, Rohit, any knee-jerk reaction? You're saying that markets should not be concerned with, with what has come this time around. But Rohit, any knee-jerk reaction in the Adani stock just because of its linkage with the Hindenburg Research report name per se, so to speak? So are investors, retail investors especially, are they going to look at maybe cashing out of Adani temporarily?
So there's an old saying, you can't react to the same news twice, right?
Okay.
So we've already reacted to it once. There has to be something new to react to again. So wo ye ki chor aaya, you can say that once. You can't say that again.
Okay. Okay, we will leave it at that. Rohit Srivastav, Kranti Patini, thank you so much for taking time to be with us here on In Your Interest. We are taking a very short breather here at this stage. We'll be back with lots more on the latest Hindenburg report. Stay with us.